Joining us now on the WashU Sports Network is Randi and Duez Henderson, the women's basketball staff from Washington University in St. Louis. Coach Randi Henderson, how are we doing today?
Great.
And
Happy
Duez,
the sun is
how are
shining.
you doing?
Doing well. Another day in paradise.
Well, I wanted to start off our Bears in Hibernation feature by asking a few questions with the Henderson family as they remain at home preparing for the 2021 women's basketball season. Coach Randi Henderson, first question for you. What's been keeping you busy during COVID-19 besides taking care of Duez and those two kids of yours?
Well, that's definitely become a full-time job, an adjustment, obviously being home all the time. But what has kept me busy, I've been answering a lot of questions from Harper and Ezekiel. They're getting more and more inquisitive. We've gone on a lot of walks. My Harper is starting to learn how to ride a bike a little bit. And, still trying to figure out the balance of work and taking care of your family. And we've been cooking a little bit more. We've tried to make some homemade pizzas and had some flops. We've done a couple projects, recruiting, working, talking to our players. Definitely haven't been less busy, just been more home.
Coach Duez, I wanted to ask you about your role in recruiting kind of with our prospects since they can't visit campus right now. So Duez, what has kind of changed with you and Randi's kind of recruiting philosophy since you can't bring your student athletes on campus right now, our prospects?
Right. So I think right now we're trying to do a good job of two things, right? The first thing is being creative in the way that we connect, in the way that we communicate with prospective student athletes. And the second thing, I think, which, a lot of people who are working from home are doing the same thing, trying to find ways to use technology to connect with them, to show them campus, to give them a feel for what it feels like to actually be a Bear since, as you mentioned, they can't come to campus.
Duez, I also noticed that you and Randi have spent a lot of time working out together during COVID-19. That's got to be kind of fun. And I know that Zeke and Harper have also made some appearances in your videos.
For sure. It started, I think right around March 14th was the first day that I recorded a video and posted it. It kind of became this thing where it was helping hold me accountable. It was helping hold Randi accountable. We've been posting them every day. We get some really cool messages from some people that have been watching it. But as you said, of course, the ones that get the most likes, the ones that get the most retweets are the ones where Harper and Zeke jump in there. And they legit do, they'll go through the workout with us and they'll modify stuff. And sometimes they don't like what we're doing, so they'll make up their own.
I think that's one of the things that impresses me most with the Henderson family is how you include your kids in so much with your women's basketball and working out. Coach Randi, I have a question for you about your playing career at Iowa. 3-year starter for the Hawkeyes, went to a pair of NCAA tournaments, 2001 Big Ten tournament championship. Can you talk about your experience playing in the Big Ten at Iowa?
Well, I feel like playing in the Big Ten was the challenge I expected it to be, and maybe even more so. My freshman year, I played behind the Big Ten Player of the Year, and she was phenomenal. Played in the league for a really long time after, and made me a much better player, even though it was pretty frustrating every day to get my shot blocked by her. But overall, the Big Ten, great travel experience. I was fortunate to play for 2 different head coaches. So I got to learn a lot of different styles of coaching. And then I had different position coaches during that time too. And had some awesome teammates who I still talk to this day. And we had some great experiences. I think the most powerful experience for me was we went from having a really, really hard losing season and kind of getting through that season to putting in the work in the summer leading up to the season following, where we started to chase the Big Ten championship and just that fight. And, every day going against some great players, some players I played in the summer against in AAU, and then players that I didn't even know were so talented, but just a really cool experience. I got a lot of learning and I had some great coaches and teammates along the way.
So, Duez, you also played for the Hawkeyes, went to a couple NCAA tournament appearances and one Sweet 16. Talk about your 4 years playing for two great coaches, Dr. Tom Davis and Steve Alford.
Yeah. So, like you said, having the opportunity to play for two different coaches in college, I think is something that's really shaped me the way I coach, because I got to see two totally different approaches to the game and how they prepared, how they ran practices, even how they recruited. So a lot of people will look at that and say, oh, well, you didn't play, you didn't get to play for all 4 years for the same person who recruited you. I'm sure that was tough. And um, things like that. But I don't look at it like that. As you said, both were great coaches, and they've had success in different ways. Obviously, with Coach Alford still in Nevada now, he's bounced around and done a pretty good job at some different places. So I would say definitely the biggest takeaway that I had is just seeing two total different approaches to the game, but both with successful results.
Coach Randi, now a lot of our fans might say, obviously Randi and Duez met in college and started dating and then got married and now have this beautiful family. But
it was way too cool for me in college. Way too cool for me.
So, Coach Randi, can you share the story that you've told me about the charity basketball game where you kind of officially met this Duez Henderson guy that used to play for the Hawkeyes?
Yeah, so I did not date Duez in college. I did watch him play. I did like how he hustled and how hard he played defensively. So I guess I did like the way he played, but we never hung out or met. And then I don't know, maybe it was like 10 years later, I got called to do a charity basketball event, and it was to raise money for a youth program in Iowa City, and a whole bunch of different alumni, Tim Dwight, just a bunch of different people were coming back, and they were selling tickets. And I agreed to do this up front, even though I was reluctant to do it because I knew my skills weren't very good anymore. But I showed up at this event that I tried to get out of my commitment to, and Duez and I ended up on the same team. And so what ended up happening was the entire game, Duez shot every time he touched it, and I rebounded it and passed it back to him. And that must have made it so he really, really wanted to fall in love with me, because I was a great rebounder and I gave him a lot of buckets. And then basically from that game on, we spoke every day since. Duez sent me an email kind of replaying the game, which was one of the most hilarious emails I've ever read. And he trained a player I was recruiting, and so I ended up going and watching him train her, but instead of training her, he talked to me the whole time. And that player to this day takes credit for setting us up. So she has actually said that she deserves our firstborn, Harper. So at some point, I guess maybe we'll have to draft Harper to Mickey, but yeah, it was a crazy scenario because we spent so much time in the gym at Carver and we never spoke. We probably never even passed in the tunnel. I don't remember that. And even in the weight room, and then to meet in Hawkeye uniforms 10 years later in Carver, it's pretty weird.
So Duez, after graduation, you spent some years overseas playing basketball for Rock. Can you talk just a little bit about that experience, playing overseas?
Great experience, Mitch. And it's one of those things that as I get older and I look back and I think about it more, it's one of those things that I appreciate more in the moment than I did at the time, right? Obviously, the basketball part of it was great. Being able to get paid for something I had done my entire life, which I love to do, was awesome. But also just the different experiences that I was able to gain. I remember my first year there, I was about a 3-hour drive from Paris, and we had an off weekend, or we had like 2.5 days off or something. And I'm asking my teammates about like Paris and like driving there, or they had any like cool things that they would do while they were there, and they're looking at me like, "Are you crazy? Do you know how far it is?" So I'm thinking like I've mixed up something with the miles to kilometers conversion or something. So like double checking. It's like 2.5, 3 hours, like max. But they are looking at me like, I can't believe you're going to drive that far just for 2 days. And I'm like, because that's, in Europe, that's so far and it's a big commitment. And it's like, dude, there's some people with 2-hour commutes in the States. So, being a 3-hour drive from Paris or being able to hop on a $40 flight and go to Greece for 3 or 4 days, and taking advantage of those opportunities while I was there, was really cool just from a life perspective. And then from the basketball piece of it, got to play with and against, some really good guys. I think my game probably flourished my second or third year in Europe. That's probably when I was playing my best basketball, when I was 24, 25. And just having those opportunities to bounce around Germany, played in 3 different really big, nice cities, just added to the experience.
So, Coach Duez, 2 of our biggest fans of the WashU women's basketball program, actually probably of most of our programs, are your children, Harper and Ezekiel. Talk to me about what are some of the challenges that you and Coach Randi face. Obviously, you're both working at the same school now in the UAA, which is a ton of travel. You guys travel a ton in January and February and hopefully in March. What are some of the challenges that you and Coach Randi face during basketball season?
Yeah, definitely. The time away from the house, the time away from the kids is a challenge across the board. I think Randi would agree with. But we're able to overcome and work around those challenges just with the support that we have. Whether it's my mom who lives with us, whether it's Randi's parents who come down and hang out for a weekend, whether it's Randi's mom saying, "Hey, I'm gonna meet you guys in New York. Let's bring you guys can bring the kids and I'll have them while you're there." Or whether it's just people from the WashU community willing to step up and help support. That has been like great, and that's been able to take away some of the challenges, right? While there is challenges involved, it's also really a great experience for them to be able to be around the game, be around our student athletes, and who are great role models. And to this day, right now, if I went and got Harper right now, if I asked her 2 questions, if I asked her who the greatest golfer in the world is, she would say Tiger Woods, and I would say who's the greatest basketball player in the world, she would say Christina Smelter. Like hands down, that's her answer to the greatest basketball player. So that just goes to show you how much they're taking, how much they're watching. In that deal. So I would say the challenges of being gone and having to rearrange schedules sometimes is way outweighed by the value and what we get out of being able to have them around, when it works for our schedule and when it makes sense.
Coach Randi, let's talk a little bit about last season. A very young team. 10 of our 15 players were freshmen. 1 senior. We talked about Christina Smelter, went 14-11 last year. How excited are you looking forward to this 2021 season? Because I'm going to tell you what, I really enjoyed watching your team play during conference. You guys got better every night out. I know you got some really good recruits coming in. How excited are you and Coach Duez to start this 2021 season?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, I think what makes me the most excited is that that freshman class, even though they hit like maybe a tough spot right at the beginning, their preseason didn't go as they were anticipating. They showed some fight and they committed to getting better. So when they could have committed to giving up, they made some serious changes and adjustments to the investment they were putting in, and they got better. And like you said, you saw that throughout the end of the season. They got some great experience as young players and learned a ton. And I think so far in this postseason, they've just kind of carried on that commitment, even though it's been in a really unique situation where some of them don't have access to hoops or I have one player that lives in an apartment in Manhattan and she's repeatedly doing ball handling in the hallway. So they're just, they're doing the best that they can with the situation that they've been dealt and the hand that they've been dealt. And I think just their ability to continue to fight through the adversity or the obstacles that keep coming is what makes me the most excited about their ceiling. because if they can fight early, then their junior and senior year is going to be so fun for them. So I'm super excited about them coming back. I think they're all committed to getting better in the summer and being intentional about that. And then I'm very excited about our incoming freshmen. I think we have a really good and interesting mix of player and skill set that's going to add some toughness and skill to our team as well. So I'm excited to see what they do when they join together with the returners.
Well, we're really looking forward to the 2021 season, Coach Randi. All right, so we're going to end this Bears in Hibernation feature with some no hedging questions with the Hendersons. So I just have I have 5 questions, and I want you guys to just quickly answer no hedging. So first question is, who is the better driver?
Duez.
Okay, well, that was easy. Who has more clothes?
Me.
Randi.
I don't know, Duez.
Randi.
All right, so 50.
His shoes are way bigger. His shoes take up a lot of space, so it's confusing.
Who has more shoes then in the house, Randi or Duez?
Duez.
Okay. All right, so if Zeke or Harper gets up in the middle of the night screaming because they had a bad dream, who is getting up to take care of them?
Me.
Randi.
Coach Randi. All right, my final no hedging question is, who is the better cook in the Henderson household?
Duez.
All right, Duez. Well, I want to thank both of you guys for coming on today and talking a little bit about your college experience at Iowa and sharing a little bit on the inside about your family. And as I told you, really looking forward to this upcoming 2021 season. And I hope you guys have a great summer and hopefully look forward to seeing you both in the office, hopefully sometime soon.
Sounds great, Chris. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Thank you, guys.